What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the No Blood, No Foul podcast. I don't know about you guys, but my heart is pounding right now. That game was way too intense. There was a near fourth quarter collapse, and the Knicks end up winning 104-103. And I went from really enjoying that basketball game to not really enjoying that basketball game. I'm sure we are going to talk about Julius Randle a lot. I'm sure we're going to talk about the fourth quarter offense a lot. So you know what? I'm just going to kick it right to Moo. Talk to me, baby. Tell me what you're thinking about tonight's game.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about it. I came in. I actually made it on time to watch most of the game. Let me start off by the Knicks. They played really well for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? But again, they have problems. I know the post game show, the guys were talking about their ability to close the game. That's a problem still, right? It was a problem. It's been like a problem for years, decades. That's something that they need to address. What I didn't like was, as the game, within the last 3 minutes, rather than running their offense, they're slowing it down, trying to eat the clock, right? I'm not a big fan of that. Just really not a big fan. And then even if they're doing that, they wait until like 5 seconds left to start doing something. They don't have the guys that could do that, right? If you had someone, Kemba might maybe, at some point of the season, they don't have the guys that. Right. That's the thing. If you're gonna eat this clock out, start your move maybe with 9 seconds left instead of 6 or 5 seconds. Something, right? The Yeah, right. And the Bulls, I mean, they started playing defense. I'm not a big fan of this team. It kind of it's like ISO, like three guys ISOing and not really a lot of ball movement. I mean, they've got Lonzo there, but I don't know what he's there for. It's it's not a great fit with, right. The ball seems like it's going through Levine's right hands almost all the time. So Lonzo's as an off-ball guy, I'm not a big fan of that. But the Knicks, I think they won, right? So that's the most important thing. I think they're fine. I'm not so upset about that weird shot that Randall tried right off of that rebound. I mean, it's heat of the moment. It happens. Missed the free throws. I mean, it is what it is. It shouldn't have gotten to that point. And that's really the thing for me. It shouldn't have got to that point.
Well, I'm going to start from the beginning and talk about what I liked, and then I'll get into what I didn't like. What I liked was this game was a throwback Knicks Bulls game. Both teams came out. They looked like they wanted to make a statement against each other. Two of the top records in the East and in all of the NBA. And, we saw them take it to each other right from the jump. The Knicks threw the first punch, jumped out to a pretty big lead. The Bulls answered. And what we saw was the Knicks continue to play in spurts. We'll have periods of the game where, things are not going our way, and then we'll go on a run. Now, what I do want to talk about is Mitchell Robinson. Now, this guy, this is the type of game that shows how integral he is to our success. As our number one defensive player on the team, he changes the entire complexion of the game. I feel like he totally shut Vooch down, who is a Nick killer. He didn't really go off on us tonight. And then Mitch also does his nightly scare, where he tweaked his ankle, busted through the kicks. I think it was because of the brace, and gave me a heart attack damn near. And I thought we were gonna lose the guy, but he comes back in the game and pretty much preserved the game because him and RJ were key on making that defensive stop against DeRozen on that jumper that he airballed. So shout out to the defense of Mitchell Robinson and RJ, who continues to prove his mettle this year in taking over that Reggie Bullock role for the wing defender that we need. Now, things that I don't like. Number one, I don't like the rotation. I think it's too reliant on Alec Burks. I don't know why he was in the game in crunch time. He didn't really do much today, wasn't a major contributor, but we saw him inbound the ball twice. The first time he almost threw it away. Second time, just another bad pass. It didn't into a turnover, but I just don't like his decision making there. I would like to see DeRozen there. This guy was playing in his hometown against his former team. Kind of could have been considered a revenge game on Joakim Noah night. He should have been in there, down the stretch. Give him a shot to do something special. We know he's a trusted person in inbounding the ball from the sideline and things of that nature. Back to Burks, I just see a lot of boneheaded plays from him. I wouldn't mind if eventually, Quentin Grimes took his spot, but that's another topic for another day. Now let's talk about another thing I didn't like. Julius Randle. Okay, we know it wasn't his shooting night. They were doubling and triple teaming him all night. But what I didn't like is that he's not letting the game come to him. Okay, he didn't have it this game. The way they defended the team, they tried to take him away and make the Knicks beat them with other players. But I still felt like in the fourth quarter, it was too much ISO Randall, too much dribbling, too much trying to force the action, being a primary facilitator when it's not necessarily needed. This is a night that was Kemba's night. This is a night that was RJ's night. I would like to see you play through some of those guys. Even a guy like Fournier. He can hit a big shot. He's shown that all season with the three-point ball. I don't know why Randall was forcing things. He made some boneheaded plays. Kept trying to go one-on-one against Lonzo, who pretty much neutralized him because he has such quick hands and he kept deflecting the ball. Then we saw, the bonehead play of getting the offensive rebound, going straight back up with it when he should have been eating the clock. You got to make winning plays as a winning player, and Randall didn't do that tonight. And then the icing on the cake was, just totally botching a free throw and almost losing the game for us. Luckily, we prevailed, like I said, because of that good old-fashioned Knicks defense. So, we get out of there. We survive with a W. It should have been a good win, but it feels a little dirty after the way things unfolded in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of lost. Doesn't it feel that way? And it's like we're tied for first place right now, and I feel like I'm like in a bad mood almost because it was just like such an epic collapse. And it was funny because it was like I think it was 104-91, and I was like, if we score one more basket, I think the game is over. And we didn't score another basket. And you know what? If we did hit that one basket that I was talking about, it would have been game over. All right, I think I want to start off with RJ Barrett. He's been the hot topic of discussion on the Real GM board, on Twitter, all about it. Everyone's been calling him 3-and-D RJ, that he's taken a step back, this, that, and the other thing. And tonight was his best performance of the season. And he took people off the bounce and hit a bunch of runners in the lane, showed off the nice floater, finished at the rim. If only his three ball was with him and he drew some more fouls, we would be talking about a really great game. And not to mention, he was pretty good defensively as well. Levine lit him up in the first half, and he played much better in the second half. I think Levine ended up being like 6 of 16, 6 of 17, something like that. I don't have the stats up in front of me. I'm running
7 of 17.
Yeah, I'm running the stat. I'm running the show tonight. I don't have my stats in front of me. That's usually Kyle that's running the show. He's not here tonight, by the way. Here I'll toss over to Moo. Talk to me about RJ Barrett.
He did, and I agree. He had a really good game. He didn't force it, unlike Randall, right? He took what he got most of the time, right? His going to the basket, scoring near the basket, is because it was there, right? The defense was focused on Randall, so he was going to be open. The Bulls don't really have a post defensive presence, right? Vucevic is he can block some shots, but he's not going to really intimidate too many people, and he's going to leave. You're going to have open shots. He took it. That's what you want to see. And he defended. Threes weren't falling. Doesn't really matter, right? They've got 3-point shooters. I think they scored 33 points more from three. That's pretty good. They don't need him to always just sit in the corner and shoot a three. They need him to do what he can. Use the openings. If he's got to go, if he's doesn't pass it, defend, right?
He,
And he did that. I think that's definitely his best game this season.
he
It's
had
definitely
he had a
his best game.
sweet. It's so funny because I remember last year he had like this sweet Euro when Vooch was on the Magic to finish in the paint,
Yep.
and then tonight he kind of did the same exact move. I don't know if you guys noticed that he had like an in and out dribble for like a right-handed layup, and I was just like, he just loves playing against Vooch. Like somewhere like midway in the third, they said that I don't know if it was midway through the third or halfway through the fourth. They said we had like 50 points in the paint. Like, yeah. I just think we just dominated that area of the floor.
I mean, some of it goes to the Bulls. I like I said, I don't like the way this team is built. They're 4-0, 4-1 after tonight. Great. I don't know how much this can be sustained, and I don't. Right there's been talk. I've been reading articles about are these teams legit? Right, the Knicks are always get brought up, but now the Bulls are.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this team. They have talent, definitely have a lot of talent, but it takes more than talent to win, especially in the playoffs. I just don't know that this team jives well. They don't have shooting, outside shooting. I don't think they have necessarily the right type of mix in the starting lineup.
So yeah, Coke, why don't you get in there, talk a little bit about RJ and what you think about the Bulls?
Yeah.
All right, my feelings on RJ is he's going to be a polarizing figure all year. I think there's going to be three guys that draw the eye of Knicks fans. It's going to be RJ, it's going to be Kemba at times when he's not on, and because of his poor defense. And lastly, it's going to be Alec Burks. But I'll focus on RJ because that's the topic of the moment. RJ is a player that I'm not really worried about, and too many Knicks fans are, borderline weirdos who are just slaves to the moment. The guy has, 3 bad games, and all of a sudden he's, destined to only be a role player despite only being what is he, 21 or 22?
21,
right? Yeah, so, guy just became eligible to drink, but we're already capping him with a ceiling. Just because he doesn't have a bunch of wiggle, doesn't have a bunch of, fancy moves. But RJ is going to be the epitome of a winning player. Why? Because he works hard, because he's a gym rat, because he improves every season. This season is not over. It's 4 games in. He just had his bounce back game. If last year told us anything, is you do not write someone's obituary prematurely. I am not worried about RJ. I have no worries about him. The 3-point shot is going to come around. He was finishing at the bucket tonight. That's a plus. And I think RJ is going to be either a player that's going to be here for a long time and continue to get better and better, or he'll go on a trade and bring us back a bona fide stud. Either way you look at it, he is a plus, in the category of assets on the Knicks team. So no worries with RJ as far as for me. The Bulls. Let's talk about Lonzo Ball. This is a guy that I wanted.
Yeah.
And boy, I'm glad that I was wrong. I'm so glad he's doing the Knicks because he just lacks, that it factor. He doesn't have a killer instinct. Doesn't seem like, he has intensity. He's just coasting through the game. He's super talented defensively. Like I said, how many guys could guard the 1 through the 4? He bodied up.
He locked up Randall. He locked him up tonight. Yeah.
Came out the victor. Kept stripping him, knocking the ball away. Wouldn't allow him to get deep post position. He can hit a 3, but it's just something about him. He doesn't want to be the guy. He's content to just float around on the perimeter, take a couple of 3s. On a break, he's not even looking to use that athleticism and length. He's, more than quite happy to just pass the ball. So again, that's not a player that you want to give, upwards of $20 million a season. So good job for us. Scott Perry, Leon Rose for being way smarter than me and staying away from a multi-year deal to Lonzo.
He drove a lot tonight. Like I was like thoroughly impressed because like that was like the big knock on him is that he didn't take guys off the dribble, And
did he hit anything?
No, that was the next thing I was about to say. I was like, he took guys off the dribble and then he would try like a little floater or like a little step back jumper in the paint or something like that, and you just knew it wasn't going in. You're just like, oh god, no. Like there's obviously there's like a few times that. I mean, we watch so much basketball, all of us, that like when someone takes a shot that's not like in their wheelhouse and not going to go in, and that was like a lot of Lonzo's shots that were in the paint. Like I was just like, oh no, like thank you for taking that shot because I know it's not going to go in.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's neither here nor there, right? It's just kind of like, okay, I'm kind of open. I guess I should just jack it up, and he doesn't. Right? There's no intent, like Coke says. There's no intensity. There's no intent. It's just like kind of floating. And okay, well, I think I'll take a shot now, and he takes it. Whether it's a good or a shot batch, it doesn't really matter. So it's definitely I agree with Coke on that. It's kind of concerning, and that kind of for me goes into that whole Bulls roster. Just not a fan.
Yeah, they're like an interesting fit. That's my big question is how do you balance out Levine, who wants the ball all the time, and DeRozen, who wants the ball all the time. I mean,
DeRozen, who's good on offense, right? He's an offensive player, and he doesn't touch the ball as much as he normally would or maybe should. I mean.
And that's why it's so impressive that they're 4-1 right now, is because they probably haven't figured things out either. Like, I mean, like you can see that our starters are trying to like feel each other out because I mean, we haven't had all four of them clicking at the same time. I mean, normally it's been Randall and Fournier that's been going off, but tonight was Kemba and RJ. Any feelings on the chemistry of our starting units?
Well, I want to talk about Kemba. This is a guy who second good game in a row offensively. Can really shoot the three ball. I mean, what a stark contrast to Elfrid Payton. We got a point guard who can put up a lot of attempts a game and hit the majority of them. He's well over 50% on the year thus far. The only negative with Kemba is the defense, but I'm gonna stick to offense right now. What I like is he saw that it wasn't Julius Randle's night. And whenever Randall didn't get it going, when Kemba got the ball, he got aggressive. He tried to take over later in the fourth when it wasn't going Julius's way and he was forcing things. But by that point, the tailspin had already started and there wasn't much time left in the game. But I am liking the fact that he's becoming more aggressive. He's knowing when he should take his shots, knowing when he should, let that three fly. Now I just want to see him start to finish in the paint a little better. We saw him get inside a few times. He looked off the rim, didn't really take a shot. Or one time he got so far under that he kind of muffed himself. And he laid it up against the iron. So, he just has to drive a little bit more, get back in his comfort zone. We know Kemba can finish, so just want to see him get back to being him. But right now the three ball's falling, and that's what he's sticking with. So start taking it to the bucket. And to close things out with Kemba, he did have a nice little floater that was pretty quickly-esque, if you want to call it that.
Oh, God, Emmanuel Quickly. We're going to have to touch on him a little bit later because, oof. Moo,
leash.
Yeah, I'm overseeing IQ and Burks. I hope that they have bounce back games very very soon. But they've both been absolutely brutal in these first 5 games. Hey, Moo,
I'm not worried about IQ because this is the guy who's going to run hot and cold. But Burks has way too much of a leash. I think if he doesn't have it, you got to pull him early. And on days he comes out flat, just go to Grimes because Grimes isn't going to take any bad shots. He's going to defend, and he's a way better three-point shooter.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like he's a rookie, and we're like stacked in what should be quality, 78 level players in NBA 2K. But like, like I would love to be like, Grimes, it's your time. But Tibbs is just not going to do it. He's
a rookie, but he's a low mistake rookie. He's a guy that he reminds me of Courtney Lee. Like, he's not going to do anything wrong, but he's going to help you across the board.
Yeah, he's gonna defend and then shoot 3-point shots. But like, again, it's like when you get so stagnant, it's like you kind of want another ball handler out there to if they eventually catch the ball and they have to do something, they can do something. But yeah, he's been absolutely brutal in these first 5 games.
Yeah, my take is that if you look at the roster, the 2 guys that probably from last season that had to adjust the most is probably the 2 guys that are struggling the most, right? IQ and Burks, right? Because if you look at last season, you had Payton and Bullock, right? And we've swapped them out with Kemba and Fournier, who are to say significant upgrades and offensively is in shot taking and making is understatement. So those are the 2 guys. Burks and IQ were the guys that kind of offset some of the offensive, weaknesses or one-dimensional nature of those 2 former Knicks. Now you bring in these guys that can create their own shots, that can score. These guys have to adjust. right? IQ's not going to get the same amount of shots. He's definitely not going to get the same leash. I think last season I got a sense that Tibbs had no other choice but to go with IQ. This season he has options. Burks, I'm actually not so worried about Burks because I think he will eventually figure it out. Right now, yeah, he is brutal. He's been brutal. But I think for these two guys, Tibbs is going to try to see if they can figure things out. I think especially Burks, because last season Burks was good. He was one of their most reliable, right, guys as far as, late game scoring. He didn't make the same kind of mistakes he's been making this season. I think Tibbs will stick with them until he can't anymore. It's possible they could get to that point, but I think Tibbs will stick with Burks if of anyone. Spurs could also kind of.
So Moo, I have a thought on that.
Sure.
I think that's why we're kind of seeing the struggles of RJ, IQ, and Burks is because they're kind of used to getting their shots. Right. that they were getting more shots and more touches last season, and they were able to work through their struggles. Like IQ could go 0 for 5, and the next thing you know, he hits 5 threes in a row. Burks would go. Burks wasn't as streaky as RJ was, but RJ would suck it up for a half, and then next thing you know, he's lighting it up in the second, and all of a sudden, a lot of those possessions have gone away. So
right now, IQ's not even getting the shots. Right? He doesn't even have a chance to miss them. Right, he's just not getting the opportunity, and it's just the who's on the team now, where they're at, and what they're trying to do, and they're also trying to assimilate these guys, right? So they're probably getting them more involved early on. That way they could get used to it. So that's also going to work against Burks and IQ and the rest of these guys. I think, like Coke said, Barrett, I'm not so worried about. He'll figure things out. He's physical. If anything, he won't back down, right? So he's not going to say, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to get the ball, so I'm going to sulk, or I'm just going to jack shots, or whatever it is." He's going to try and compete. So that's what you like about him. These two other guys, they're going to have to figure things out. Either they figure it out on their own, or the coaching staff will. This is a deep team, right? We know it's a deep team. Their bench is their strength. But the bench also, it becomes more competitive, right? So it's who's going to be the guys that are going to do the right things and compete and come off the bench.
Well, that's why I said this was kind of like a debate in the offseason, was whether if it was worthwhile to go Bullock instead of Burks, because obviously they got the same amount of money. Just because there's times that it seems like there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Well, I think they went with Burks because that was before Kemba became available, right? I think maybe if Kemba was available earlier, Bullock might have been the choice. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then I think another important factor is, along with the depth, we're running a 10-man rotation, so the minutes just aren't there. For the younger guys, if they're not hot, they're going to have a quick hook. And then I want to throw this out there as well. I know it's going to be nitpicky, but Obi Toppin has been playing phenomenal, since the beginning of the season, pretty much every game. Tonight, he didn't miss a single shot, but he only got 13 minutes. Randall didn't have it tonight. I know he put up some gaudy rebound numbers, and he had 9 assists as well, but still, overall, he wasn't in sync. Tonight would have been a night that I would have threw Obi out there, let him run a little bit more, especially in that third quarter when Randall damn near played the entire third. Obi comes back, he only gets like 4 minutes in the fourth, and we kind of waste the energy that he had, because when he was out there, he was hitting the shots, he was flying around, making an M1, hitting a free throw. I would like to see the guy just get some more consistent minutes. I don't want to stun his growth. If he's showing you that he's going to be a contributor every game this season, no matter how short the minutes are, you got to reward him and play him, especially on a night when Julius doesn't have it. I don't want to see this guy for 38 minutes dribbling at the top of the key, dribbling off his foot, getting ripped by Lonzo, when we can have Obi in there playing off the ball, getting easy buckets in transition, and allowing Kemba, RJ, and Fournier to do the playmaking.
That's something we've been talking about a lot, is just that, Obi's energy is infectious. You see the momentum switch when he gets on the floor. It just happens every night. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, there's at least 1 or 2 transition hoops that happen as soon as Obi gets on the floor. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I've said it also before too. It's like Taj is in his ear. He makes nice rotations. He's there, and he's super long, which is like the very surprising thing. You wouldn't realize that he has a 7'2" wingspan, but he does. My thought is that unfortunately or fortunately, Randall is the star of this team. So he's gonna be on the floor all the time. He's gonna be like your LeBrons or Lucas, even if he doesn't deserve to be. And it's
even LeBron doesn't play 37 minutes, though. I mean, could we just get 33?
I know. You're right. No,
compromise 35.
I mean, trust me. I've been like, yeah, let's have Randall be 34 minutes, and then Obi get like 5 minutes at the 5. We didn't do that tonight, but I guess we could. It's because we had a lead the entire game, and we didn't need to be as explosive offensively. But
it's going to be hard to get him any minutes at the 5. Mitch is back, and they want almost kind of force feed him to get him like really peak shape. Taj has been playing out of his mind,
like always.
Right, like always. And then you've got Nerlens coming back, right? So chances of any minutes at the 5. Is probably not going to be there. I think the only shot he's got is if Tibbs, it's the drawback of Tibbs is that he loves his number one guy and he'll grind him. Is Tibbs backing off and saying, you know what, we need this guy more down the road, right? Going deep in the playoffs. I don't want to wear him out, play him 38, 39 minutes a game, and then give those 4 or 5 minutes to Toby, right? So yeah. I think that would be, definitely fine.
I mean, both of you guys are right. I mean, obviously, but again, it like on a night again, like how you say, it's like on a night that Randall doesn't have it. How do you not go to like everyone else on the roster is capable of being benched? Does Randall really deserve that special treatment? I know from last year, so maybe if things kind of keep going in this same sort of direction, that I'm echoing right now. If things keep going in the same direction, maybe that Randall will be brought back to the pack in Tibbs' mind, and if things are going bad, he can be benched.
And I don't even want to sound harsh to say benched. Dropping him 5 more minutes down from 38 to 30, 32, 33. That's not really that's not benched. It's just a more of a manageable standpoint of his playing time. So, just downsize it a little bit. That 5-minute stretch will bump Obi up from, 12, 11 minutes a game. So, get him to a flow where he can make more of an impact, run the floor, give us some energy, especially on nights when we're in a grinded out slugfest. You're going to need those easy baskets. And you don't really want to get into situations where, what did we end the game with? I think it was a 4-minute scoring drought.
I think it was probably 3.5. I would think.
Yeah, that's a big chunk of the game when it's crunch time and the win or the loss is on the line. So sometimes if Randall had 5 more minutes of rest, who knows? Maybe he hits those free throws.
Yeah, he did look gassed on those free throws. He was just like checking it.
Yeah, because when it's underrated when you're getting triple teamed and guys are beating on you, grabbing your forearms, and that takes a toll on you.
Right. I think what'll happen is if Kemba keeps progressing and he can show Tibbs that this is kind of 80% of the full speed Kemba, that'll allow him to say, what, I can afford to sit Randall. Right now, I'm getting a sense that Tibbs is still not sure about Walker and Fournier and anybody else, and so he's going to security blanket, which is Randall, and throwing him out there. Anytime there is any kind of concern, Randall, get up, you're in there. I'm hoping that if Kemba can, he's looking better, right? Every game he's gotten better, which is a good sign. If he keeps improving and he can show Tibbs that, what, I'm a 1A guy, 1B guy, whatever it is, I think that is the best hope of Randall playing less. Otherwise, I expect Randall to be written like Secretariat. It's like last
Yeah, but I mean, like you can look at the offense now and you can see that it's not relying on Randall in the post and kick out to find shooters. I mean, Fournier took a ton of terrible shots, but he can score on a normal night. Obviously, Kemba can as well, and RJ was creating for himself as well. So it's like you don't necessarily need him out there all the time. You can run a screen and roll. You don't have to just keep continuously posting up Randall. And like you said, it might be just like a habit from last year. And let's hope that's the case. And because like we probably ran post up Randall for the last like 7 minutes of the game, and it didn't really work.
You have to run, right? Is that Tibbs calling the plays? It has to be. I don't think they would, just say, Julius, you do whatever you want, and everybody just, toss it to him with 5-6 seconds left, and he's dribbling it to death. So it's got to still be coming from the coaching staff. So, that, I think that's why they're not closing out as much, is they relax. It's not even so much they relax; they slow it down. Right, you gain the lead by playing your style, which is aggressive, and then you slow it down to protect the lead. You have to do right. The Bulls, right, when they got the lead with Jordan, they didn't slow it down; they sped it up. Right, yep. That's how they step on your throat and rip your heart out. The Knicks, they slow down, and you give up points, and you're just hoping that, hey, there's only a few minutes left, and we should be able to win by kind of playing defense and just holding serve. You can't do that. You need to take the life out of the opponents.
No, it reminds me of football. Right. Sometimes my team is the Giants. Sometimes the game gets close and it gets late, and they go totally conservative, running the ball when they should be throwing it. Instead of trying to put points on the board, they're going for field goals. And I kind of feel like that's what the Knicks are doing when they start slowing things down, playing right into the defense's hands, because when you ISO, you make it easier on the defense. We're having our most success this year, spreading that ball around, spraying it out to shooters, being unpredictable with where the shot is coming from, having, 6-7 guys in double figures. So why, in the fourth quarter, do you want to just go to one option and pretty much work on one side of the floor? Like you said, Mo, I didn't like that. But let me tell you something I did like, though. And the Knicks won in a night tonight that was totally different from their other wins in the style, in the way they got the points. We come into the game leading the league in 3-point shots made, 3-point shots attempted. Tonight, we won this game, and we only made 11 threes. So it shows you that we still can win ugly. We still... That's the trait of a winning team. When you can win games...
Only made 11 threes.
Big change from last year, right?
I mean, big change from any era of basketball that you've ever watched before. It's like, oh, you only made 11 threes. I feel like it was like 10 years ago, that'd be like, oh, good job, guys.
Okay, plus 8 points in the paint, right? Because that's something that Knicks really haven't been doing a lot in recent years, is they're settling, right? They're not attacking. So that 50-plus points in the paint shows that they're attacking and they're being aggressive, and RJ was a big part of that.
Yeah, it was a case of mellowitis, post fadeaways.
Right.
Yeah.
It also shows we're reading the defense too, because sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you. Clearly, they wanted to run us off the 3-point line. They extended that defense after we made that first quarter run, and right after they called that timeout, they answered back with, I think, 8 points of their own. And that kind of changed the flow of the game, and that's why we stopped shooting the 3-ball and started attacking. So Tibbs always talks about just taking it to the hole, making the right rim read. If they collapse, find the shooter. If they don't, take the shot. And tonight they got into the paint and they were taking a shot, and they were even drawing some fouls.
Yeah, it's nice to like beat up on like a non-rim protector, because we do have a lot of slashers, and like Vooch being the white European dude that he is, he just doesn't have that shot blocking, and I mean again, and that's probably why a part of the reason why RJ thrived is that he struggles finishing, and he was able to take it to a non-rim protector.
They were leaving it open, right? Like Coke said, they were defending the 3 and they were doubling Randall. So somebody's going to be open, right? If you just make the right move and cut Randall, right? The one thing good about Randall is his passing, right? If nothing else. So if you just read it, get open, cut to the basket, Randall should be able to get it to you.
Tonight Randall was definitely Draymond Randall. He was not his regular, Julius Randle, LeBron James. That's usually what his MO on how he played. But he made some sick passes tonight. All right.
He left one on the table though, man. He could have had the triple double.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Wide open at one point, no defender in the paint, and he just didn't get him the ball. I don't know if you guys caught it.
That happened twice to him, but my favorite was that pass that went out of bounds when RJ was streaking up the court for a fast break, and RJ just didn't think the pass was coming. Yeah, I was like, oh, that was a sweet pass. It was like a bounce pass between like four defenders. I was all about it. All about it. My dog's handed me toys. He wants to play. So Coke, why don't we do scrub of the night? I feel like we're at that point of the evening.
I already gave it to you, man, and it's just because I misread the situation. Lonzo Ball, man, I thought this guy could have been a marquee acquisition for the Knicks, but as we saw tonight, that's not the kind of player that we need. We needed shooters and guys who can make a move off the dribble and actually convert. Like you said, Lonzo tried to get in the paint tonight, but wasn't really efficient. Let's go to the numbers. Lonzo Ball was 2 for 8 from the field, only 1 for 6 from 3. 4 assists. Didn't really provide much. 6 points. The best element that he brought tonight was the defense, but still, to me, that earned scrub of the night because even the defense, they didn't put him on Randle until late in the fourth. Maybe if they had him on Randle all game, the Bulls could have came out of there with a win. But being that the fact that this guy's salary is so inflated, and I talked him up so much, it's only right that I got to pay him back for making me look bad. So scrub of the night goes to Lonzo Ball.
All right, Mood, do you have a scrub of the night this evening?
Yeah, I was gonna go with Ball too, but I'll go with my, the guy that looks like a scrub, but that really isn't, Alex
Caruso.
Yeah. You know what? I can't watch. It's hard. Every time I watch, I'm picturing like a high school history teacher, just being a pest and being just like really loud but the guy can play. He defends and he's the type of player that doesn't care what other people think he can or can't do. You shouldn't be playing. And he goes out there. He plays hard. I do like the way he plays.
But he can't get 10 shots. He went 4 of 10 tonight. That's too many shots for Alex Caruso.
Did you guys see the 3 where he missed the rim completely and hit the other side of the backboard?
No, I didn't notice that.
He had a brutal miss. It was a UFO.
There was another shot I think Ayo took. Like he was like only like 6 feet or 7 feet from the basket. And it was like a 6 feet shot.
Well, that was
up in the draft thread.
Oh, that was 3 to the head of Mellon that was talking about.
And he was talking.
The Soma was trash, man. He airballed the layup. He missed that floater, just like Moose said. He didn't contribute on defense. I don't see it with this guy. People were talking about he's the next Colin Sexton. Oh, please, kill the noise.
But he was going to be my scrub of the night. That's who I was going to pick, Io, because it's
that would have been a good pick.
Yeah, he just got into Todd Gibson's cage, and he was wasn't unable to get out of it, which was the funniest thing ever. Because it's like if you're getting like rim protected by Todd Gibson, who's like an old man and like 6'8", it's like you're kind of scrubbing on this evening. And you know what? It's like I liked him too out of the draft. I was a fan, but he was like one of those dudes that just kind of thrived in transition, and that's always like a red flag to me when I'm like giving analysis on any sort of player that's coming into the draft. And that's why I swung and missed on Scotty Barnes, because he did most of his damage in transition, and that just like if you can't do things when the game slows down in the NBA, and that's when Io got minutes, was in the second half of the game when things were obviously slowing down. I can't expect you to thrive.
I mean, I remember somebody on the board saying, because my criticism of him was that I don't think he can score. And somebody actually said, yeah, I think he could be a high-end scorer. High-end scorers do not take a 6-foot shot 7 feet from the basket.
Yeah.
I've never seen that shot. I was laughing so hard, my wife thought I was having a heart attack.
Yeah, he put up some solid numbers in college. He had good shooting percentages across the board. But to me, he's going up against smaller guys. He doesn't pass the eye test
Right.
in the NBA against longer defenders, quicker guards. He doesn't have he really doesn't have wiggle off the dribble. He's like a
Right.
straight line driver, but then he doesn't have a credible 3-point shot when he's getting closeouts from NBA wings. I don't see it with him. I think he's just going to be a backup, maybe even out of the league, in a few years. But I don't see some, major player or some guy who's going to be a starter or major contributor on a winning team. Sorry, I don't see it.
I mean, he's an NBA athlete. I'll give him that. Like he can get up and down the floor, which is nice. But that's what did Russell Westbrook say about what's Patrick Beverly, that he's just like running around doing nothing. Yeah, that kind of makes me feel about Ayo Dosunmu.
I mean, his bread and butter is going to have to be defense, right? But I don't know.
And he's not great at that.
Yeah, no. He doesn't have great. He's not very smooth, right? He's kind of like stiff. He might be fast. It's if he had an open look at the basket and nobody else was on the court, I'm sure he could look great going for a dunk, right? But his left, right, his wiggle. I don't see any of that stuff, right?
You're just describing the way worse version of RJ Barrett.
I knew that was coming.
It was set up on a tee. All right, we're like 41 minutes into this thing. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this evening?
I'll just say, good win, but just left a bad taste in your mouth due to the finish. I think it was a statement game. I like that we answered the bell early. We're still learning how to close things out. Hopefully, we're going to go to practice and work on that kind of stuff and start playing, 48 minutes of basketball instead of like 45 and a half, like Mo said. So, who do we have coming up? Does anybody have the schedule ahead of?
We're looking at the Pelicans with potentially no Zion.
Okay, so we're looking at a great start. If we can take that game, we'd be 5-1. Who would have predicted that coming into the season? That's an A-class start. I think the last time we did that was 2012-13 season when Melo and the rest of the old man team was here. Rasheed Wallace, Kurt Thomas, Jason Kidd, and all those guys. They started out 6-0, 5-1. Nothing to sneeze at. So just keep doing what we're doing. Shoot that three ball. If teams are going to overplay the three, take it to the rack like we did tonight. Rely on our defense, and hopefully, Randall will stop forcing the issue and keep spreading that thing around in the fourth quarter and just let, the energy of basketball find the open man and let that dictate who takes the shot.
Yeah. Great game. Anytime you get a win is a win. Like Coke said, they need to be able to close. I'm sure it'll figure things out. They're still getting used to each other. I think Tibbs said it, right, that the starters are trying to get used to each other. The bench are more familiar. That's why the bench, a lot of times looks better. But I'm expecting this team to, continue to gel. Walker to step up, Robinson to step up. Maybe it's looking good, right? Robinson looks like the weight is good weight, right? And he can eventually adjust, and it's going to be a positive, right? Not the he's getting fat and slow, kind of, Andre Drummond thing. And Walker, every game he gets better. So even if he doesn't ever get back to 100%, primetime Kemba, if he could get pretty close, that's huge. So definitely very positive for this team. I think New Orleans is a good, right? They just need to make sure it's not an Orlando again, right? Don't take anything for granted. Hopefully they learn from the Orlando game. But yeah, I close. Very close. Blood pressure is going up, but it's all good if they win.
We need better Julius Randle. This is looking more like 2019 Julius Randle than 2020 Julius Randle. I don't want to be like jumping off the ledge just yet, because obviously it's only been 5 games, but he's only been good in 2 of them. He obviously dominated last season right from the tip, but we have way more talent now this time around. So he was pretty bad tonight, and he's been pretty bad for a couple of the nights, and we've won basketball games. In game, I forget what the point. I'm going to just go with 20 points. On games he scored less than 20 points last year, we were 3-6. We're obviously a little bit better this year, and we don't have to worry about that. So that's just something that we need to keep in mind. We need Randall to be star Randall. Otherwise, he's stealing James Dolan's money like a bunch of other people have stolen James Dolan's money. That seems a little bit negative on my last thought, but yeah. We're in first place, baby. First place. We're in first place. Kemba's starting to wake up. RJ's starting to wake up. I feel like it's only a matter of time for the starters to be able to, be a bunch of ballerinas and have synchronized dance moves out on that offensive side of the floor. But yeah, so the Knicks win 104-103. Coming from our guys Moo Cow, Coke, and Jim. This is No Blood, No Foul signing off. I hope you like what you heard. I hope please like and subscribe and maybe, throw us a super chat. That'd be cool. And we'll be with you on Saturday, which the Knicks play the Pelicans. Good night, y'all.